Good afternoon, Rotarians. In addition to being a Club 24 Rotarian, I'm also chairman of the board of an advocacy group called Results, and we create political will to end poverty. And one of the issues that we've been working on for the last 30-some years is cutting the number of preventable child deaths in the world. And so I want to share with you a graph that you see before you now. And this is arguably the best news of a generation, with the possible exception of the Utes beating UCLA. When I first got involved in this issue in 1985, 40,000 children under the age of 5 were dying daily of preventable, I underline the word preventable, causes. That means we had what it took to save them if we were distracted by other things. And that number has dropped dramatically. UNICEF just released the number 17,000 per day. Huge progress, but still 17,000 too many each day. Public health experts now are talking about reducing the number of preventable child deaths to 0. And I never thought I would ever hear that we're talking about ending preventable child deaths. That means a child born in Mali would have the same chance of reaching his or her 5th birthday as a kid born in Salt Lake City. I mean, just remarkable. This did not happen by accident. It happened with lots of people working hard to make political changes, political decisions, because it's about priorities. And in 2000, there was an organization created by the US, UN, the World Health Organization, the Gates Foundation, and others, called Gavi, the Gavi Alliance. And the purpose of the Gavi Alliance was to make vaccines available to children wherever they are. And since 2000, when it was created, to now, there have been 6 million children that have been saved because of their efforts. And they have a plan to save another 5 million over the next 5 years. And I have a special guest here today, Namala Mkopi. He is a pediatrician from Tanzania. And we have him here for the day. We just he's here to help promote U.S. support for Gavi. And so we've spent the day, we stopped off at Elias Charities and thanked them for the $4 million that they have given Gavi in the past. And then we, just before coming here, we stopped off at the Deseret News to share this good news with them and what is possible. So I'll now turn the time over to Namala to give some of his personal insights into this. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Namala. I'm from Tanzania. Right now, because of the anxiety, I don't know which hand of mine is left or right. I get it together. Well, it is unfortunate that I'm not a member of Rotary Club, but
we can fix that.
It's a well-known organization in my country. And just to make it clear to you guys, I work in the world of children who has cancer disease. And it is because of you guys all over the world, Rotarians, that made it happen. They've helped for us to make a world-class world that is taking care of children with cancer in Tanzania. It is the only one world in our country that is dedicated to children with cancer disease, thanks to you all. So, right here today, I'm not here to talk about what Rotarians have done, because I know you know it better than I do. But as a child health activist, it will be shameless, or it will be shameful for me not to appreciate what our Rotarians have made for this world. It is because of you guys today. It is not by accident, or it's not a matter of lucky for a child to get the polio vaccine shot. It is because of you guys that many countries, including my own, we don't see polio cases. In Tanzania, the last case of polio happened reported in 1996. We haven't had any case of polio since then. And whose fault is this? It's you guys. Thank you very much for that. Knowing your position, your influence in this world, you are positioned in many places. I think it is my responsibility to share experience that we have among the current leading killers for these children. You will protect them from polio, but they'll be killed by other diseases. So your effort may not be that appreciable if they're not cemented in other efforts. So I think it's relevant for us to express exactly what it is that we have. At the moment in the world, in every 4 children who are dying, 1 of them is dying because of either pneumonia or diarrhea diseases. And these diseases, they have vaccines which are readily available and very cheap. Readily available and very cheap. And it has shown and it has been proven that they are working at the moment. And it's amazing what we see. You may hear stories, you may read in the papers, you may talk to somebody and tell you it works, but I see it every day when I walk. Every day, I see fewer deaths due to pneumonia and diarrhea diseases. In my hospital where I work, National Hospital, we have a ward particularly designed to serve children with diarrhea diseases, which almost always is full of children with diarrhea diseases. Say over the past 2 years, every bed has 3 kids, and you have mattress on the floor with kids. And most of these kids are dying because of severe dehydration. They lose a lot of water to the extent that they cannot survive. But we got lucky somehow because of efforts that have been done by Gavi since 2000. We got to immunize our kids with rotavirus vaccine and pneumococcal vaccine. Guess what? Over 1 year, we started in January 2013. Over 1 year, we have seen a phenomenal change in the death and in the children with diarrhea diseases. The ward that I described, that is full of kids, at the moment you will see only older kids because they didn't get the shots. They were past the age of getting the shots, and very few, you'll see 5 kids in the ward. And sometimes you will go into the ward and there's only nurses and doctors chatting because there's no patient care. And these are efforts. I'm telling you this because you may think it may not really involve you, but lesson learned from what you guys have done. It's one of the proofs that one of the strong stories that vaccine works is because of the effort that Rotarians have done in this world. They've managed, they are kicking the polio out of the world. If you're going to do it, I believe it. Together we can do this. So I'm here to actually work with other colleagues to appreciate and to promote the efforts of the United States of America in replenishing the fund that is needed to make sure that by 2035, at the end of the day, because the bigger goal is by 2035, not a single child in this world should die from a vaccine-preventable disease. And it's ambitious, but it is look where you come so far with the polio. Now the vaccines are available and very cheap because of the efforts of Gavi, and people with goodwill like you yourself in India that made it happen. And I believe together we can make this happen. We can make this world a safer place for children. Child's right, one among them is vaccination. Every child has the right to be vaccinated. Every child has a right to live a fair start of life. Every child in this world deserves a life. And I think you all know that. You just need to emphasize that. Thank you.
Not an air.
It's an honor for me to present a story like that to you, because I know we have in this room a room full of people like that young man who want to do good, who want to help others. And my becoming your club president has revealed to me amazing capacity and amazing work that goes on so many times behind the scenes and not recognized. We first recognize today you for your service and your goodness and your help to people. One of the things I see as I look at the room and as I think of our club members is amazing uniqueness. And I suppose when you think of the billions of people that have walked the earth and then come to the thought that you are unique, every one of us is our own unique soul and person, and has our own ability to help others. It's a powerful concept. In a recent leadership session that I attended, we were told that Rotary is a transformational organization, an organization that changes people, changes the world. We heard a little perspective from Dr. Moore just now. we've had experiences in our club, every one of us. And those are the things that I'm here to encourage today. I think sometimes the demand of life, and we all have them, there's not one person in this club who isn't busy, doesn't have many good things to do, and many demands on their time. My encouragement is make plans going forward. Set your goals so that you make time for those truly important service opportunities that are out there. They come to us all the time. Sometimes we come up with the ideas yourself. And I'm cautioning that it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day in their important things. Family, community, church. These are not trivial things that demand our time. But it's implicit on us to make it be, to form the balance, to make ourselves available to do those things that need to be done. 17,000 children a day, and I can't comprehend the number. We have capacity here. I'm almost finished, but I just wanted to just give you a sense of some good things going on. Here's a wonderful letter that our club sent to Greta Peterson and the Peterson family, the death of Dr. Chase Peterson, who influenced us all for good. Dwayne mentioned the dine around. We had 88 of our members and guests participate, 10 host families, and wonderful reports of the lifetime, including the wonderful John Zacchio Italian food extravaganza and the generous donations to the Rotary Foundation by the Millards and Hatch family. We acknowledge their generosity and their leadership. This paper that I've got here is to remind me of a thing called Rotary Fellowships. This is something our club has not participated in very much. It's available through Rotary International. These are groups of Rotarians with like interest. If you need something else to do. But my heavens, there's about 50 of them listed here. They have a beer fellowship, for heaven's sakes. Bowling, canoeing, caravanning, cycling. I mean, I can just on Rotary, heritage, and history. Rotary business, that's kind of a deal. I think. Stay in scuba diving. You have to go on Rotary.org and learn more about it. We have coming to our club on October 8th. There was an email that went out by past President John Pace, the Moroccan vocational training teacher. Our club member Mo Sabaya, who's seated in the back of the room today, is available. He's looking for help hosting. If hosting doesn't necessarily mean they're going to stay overnight at your house, maybe that's not possible at your house. Although, let me tell you, it's a glorious opportunity. We had Alan Mamouni here last week. He stayed with us for 2 days. We were amazingly blessed. He wrote us this wonderful handwritten letter of thanks. Very tender as he expressed his feelings and thanks for being here with us. Back to the Moroccan team. Maybe they'd like to go to dinner. Maybe they'd be interested to know about your church group's concert for the fall. Or maybe you have something going on with your family. These are the kind of things that can be fun for you and a great opportunity to get service. The district is hosting a district conference in June of 2015. I hope you'll join us there. It's going to be great fun in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico. On October 25th, the events at Liberty Park at 2 in the afternoon, the concert that evening. Don't let yourself get caught with the excuse, I'm so busy, I just can't do it. The capacity in this room is too much to let slip away. I encourage you to continue your great service, continue to be the great leaders that you are. You inspire me, and I know you inspire others also. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to introduce club member Andy Wolcott. Andy's a longtime member of our Rotary Club, a longtime giver of service and hard work former, he's the chairman of the Salt Lake branch of the Federal Reserve Bank. I probably don't have that title exactly right, but let me tell you, all this group, you all had a lot of money in that Federal Reserve Bank, I'm sure, and Andy was in charge, so you can thank her after the meeting. And Andy Wolcott.
Now you just observe my talents as a technician. I have none whatsoever. But that's okay. Thank you. Thanks for having me here today. Password. Okay. A few weeks ago, Mike asked how a long-term banker transforms oneself into a photographer and makes a business that size, and would I be willing to share some of the results? Well, business end is development, but the photography end is well underway. So Mike, thank you. I'm honored to be here today. I was actually a photographer a long time before I was a banker. My dad gave me one of those Argus flip-up-top box cameras when I was 7 years old. He was a really quiet guy, kind of hard to interact with, but he was an avid photographer and he loved the darkroom. And so I kind of took up both when he gave me that camera, and that was a way for us to connect, and we spent a lot of hours together doing that. We lived all over the world. We worked for Voice of America, so there were lots and lots of subjects to photograph, and we did quite a bit. But by high school, it was time to think about how I was going to prepare for college. So I came back to the States, went to a girls' boarding school, whole nother story, in Massachusetts for my junior and senior year, and I immediately got onto the yearbook staff, and so I could do all the darkroom stuff. You can hide in the darkroom, lock the door, and say, sorry, it's in the developer, you can't come in. It was a great way to get some So, and then life happened, I went to college and got married and had 2 kids and went to work, and it just wasn't all the time that I wanted to keep on shooting, but I continued to do some. And I eventually found my way to the Federal Reserve here and was there for 30 years, almost, just shy of 30 years, couldn't believe it. And then the Great Recession hit, and we got through that pretty well, and I could see that it was going to be a long, slow slog to recovery, and we're still slogging, but we're getting there, and we're getting there quite well, I think. But I had the opportunity then to take an early retirement, so 5 years ago I took it. Robin Rockwood was willing to come here and take over the Fed, and she's absolutely fabulous, and I'm so thankful for her for doing that. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to do next. But I was up in Park City shortly after retiring, and I was sitting in Tom Mangelson's gallery up there. Tom's one of the finest wildlife photographers in the world. If you don't know his work, you should look at it. And there was a little sign on the desk, and it said, "Go to Africa with Tom." I said, "Yeah, you're right, that's going to happen." But I talked to the manager, and he said, "No, give him a call. He takes people to Africa occasionally. He'll take just a small group, 5 or 6 people. He might have room." I was too terrified to call, so I emailed him, and I sent him an image so that he wouldn't think I was a complete idiot in photography. And he called me back, and he says, "Yeah, let's go." So 6 weeks later, I was on a plane to Nairobi. And I have the background for this, but I had not had the time. And certainly going with him was a great introduction. I was completely booked. Since then, I've had the opportunity to travel all around the world, taking photographs. This is the image that I sent to him. He's a very gracious man. He said, "Gee, I wish I'd taken that image." Wow. So, been to the Galapagos in Peru. The colors in Peru are absolutely amazing. That's Lake Titicaca in Bolivia. And I apologize for kind of running through these a little bit fast, but we did it. And France, right after I retired. This is Alcazar in Spain. Beautiful architecture. Most of you recognize that as Florence. Iceland. I went last February to Iceland. Who goes to Iceland in February? It was seriously cold and 40-mile-an-hour wind the entire time we were there. But we went for the Northern Lights, so you have to go when it's dark. It was a great trip. Alaska several times. I love Alaska. If I could figure out how to make a living there, I'd move. Maybe not. It reminds me a lot of Utah, actually, the mountains do. And Hawaii. And then a little closer home, Oregon. And that's Galena Summit, and I don't know how the heck you catch a double rainbow. Talk about lucky shots. Jackson, you all recognize a few times, I'm sure. And right up the road, Guardsman's Pass in the fall. The Sandy Balloon Fest, great place for colors, wonderful images to be had down there. And you can even shoot things in your own backyard. That's my dog, he loves the snow. So I gravitate mostly towards wildlife and landscapes, but there's so many other interesting things to shoot as well. People are really interesting, especially kids. They're always willing to pose for me. This little girl followed us around for half an hour. Take my picture in Spanish, which I can't say. Little Peruvian kid in puppy. Molly, you might recognize these kids. These are two little kids in Tanzania. And some of the Maasai women in Kenya, these happen to be in Kenya. Look at those colors, just phenomenal. And here's the little kid in front of them. She was very busy picking up bugs and things. And this is Peru. So that was interesting. This is a lovely woman in a plaza in Peru. And I like this one in Spain. She's just sitting by the church waiting to go in. There's color, man. That's a Peruvian place. That's all kinds of great stuff there. This is the back door to a pub in Urubamba, Peru. And I just really like the red door. The feathers of a West African crown crane. This was on Lake Titicaca. It was one of those kind of gray days, and this boat came by with this bright blue sail. Those are the gum trees, a type of eucalyptus that's on Maui. Not found in very many places in the world, but when they're wet, they are spectacular. So interesting places to go to too. This is Halibut Cove, Alaska, and the tide rises and falls 30 feet twice a day. So at one time a day, that boat's sitting on the bottom, and 6 hours later, it's floating and up even with that dock. This is downtown Reykjavik near the town hall. I was just out there shooting one day, and this gentleman came out on the ice and put on an Olympic-style skating show. It was absolutely wonderful. I think that's going to be my Christmas. I like sunrises and sunsets. Sunset in Amboseli. Sunrise in Amboseli. And sunrise in the Serengeti. You can take balloon trips over across the Serengeti. It's absolutely spectacular. And you can take pictures at night too. This is the aurora in Iceland. It doesn't really show up as well on the screen, but that was pretty spectacular. We waited a week for that, but we got it. And this is the Milky Way over the John Moulton Barn, or that's John Moulton Barn in Jackson.
How long did you have exposure?
That is about a 20-second exposure, and it's I think maybe 3 images stitched together. Landscapes of all kinds. I love taking those pictures. This is that big cottonwood canyon. A waterfall in Hawaii. There are all kinds of waterfalls. And the cliffs of Resurrection Bay in Alaska. More spectacular countryside. And these are the Icelandic horses, a herd of Icelandic horses on the middle of the country. There's high plateau, and they pretty much wild, although they're owned by somebody. And a river there in Alaska too. And this is familiar to anybody who's been to Jackson. That's the Molten Bar in the times we found it. I think my favorite are the animals. These flamingos, I never knew they had flamingos in the Galapagos. This is on a pond in the Galapagos. And this one's for you. Lilac-breasted roller is probably one of the most common birds in Mala's country. They are absolutely spectacular, and they're not particularly cooperative with photographers, so when you get a shot, it's a great deal. An African crowned crane dancing for his hope-to-be girlfriend. And an eagle in Alaska. This is a bee eater, and it actually has a bee in its mouth. They're amazing to watch. They grab those bees and then they thrash them on rocks and get stingers at it. This is a kite, K-I-T-E. It's a raptor, in Tanzania. He was after our lunch. And if you don't watch out, he will get your lunch. He'll pop you in the head on the way through. So we'll watch him. These flamingos are on Lake Manyara in Tanzania. And I never knew they did this dance they put on, just popping those wings out. It was really something to see. Puffins in Alaska. This was last August. I was up there for 3 weeks. Shooting primarily bears, which you'll see, but we got some good bears too. And an eagle in Alaska. I like little animals. This little monkey. This particular get into our room, but we had a couple of them get in. They come in and steal whatever they can, shiny stuff, food. And if you startle them, they spray rather like a skunk. You don't want to do that. And sea otters are always really, really cute. We saw rafts of hundreds of these. And baby animals are absolutely adorable. This little guy's about 2 weeks old. Hot summer day. Baby bears in Alaska. There's not much cuter than a baby bear. More baby bears. I have hundreds of baby bears. And big animals too. This is early morning in the Mbutu region in Kenya. My favorite place to go to shoot animals. And elephants. This is the Cape buffalo, one of the more dangerous animals. You get in their way, you don't want to make them unhappy. And a grizzly in Alaska. Nobody has any idea why they were running. They just run back and forth. And this is also an Mbutu. It's a gathering of the wildebeest before they start the migration northward. And tall animals. This is a gerenuk. It's the second tallest animal. That neck is a lot like a giraffe. And then, of course, there are giraffes. My favorite animals, if there are favorites, are, I think, the elephants primarily. And I've gotten very involved with an organization, the Amboseli Trust for Elephants, whose job is to stop the poaching, or whose goal is to stop the poaching of elephants in East Africa. 20 years ago, there were literally millions of elephants in Africa. Today, there are somewhere, the whole continent, somewhere around 450,000, and they're being poached at the rate of 35 to 45,000 a year. So, you know, do the math. Our grandchildren may never see an elephant in the wild if it's not stopped. And it's all about ivory. We've seen the National Geographic articles and so on. So the sale of any of my prints that are of these elephants, the profits go to that organization. The big herds now in Embassy, they don't understand that there's a border to this park, and if you step outside that border, you're vulnerable, of course. Also in Embassy. And this little kid, who's maybe, what, Molly, you think maybe 3 years old about, they'll go for those tests as well. So, and this isn't an especially good image, but take a look at the tests. I've seen this same elephant now 4 years in a row. She's still there, she's still alive, which is absolutely amazing given those tests. So I hope she'll be there when I go back in January. And then another favorite animal is the coastal brown bear in Alaska. These are the same species as our grizzly bears, but they grow to about twice the size because of the protein in their diets. They eat a lot of fish, and ours don't get that kind of protein. She was digging a little nest there where she could lie down and feed her cubs. She was maybe 20 yards from us. And here she is fishing in the ocean. We were on the Katmai coast near Kodiak, so that there's ocean out here. And this is her environment, or their environment. I mentioned fishing is a really big deal, particularly now. The salmon run is going on, and they're beefing up for the winter. And some of them are incredibly good fishermen. Some of them are really lousy fishermen. You wonder how they're going to make it. You can see the fish down there in front of her. And there she goes for it. They smack them, and the fish is dazed, and then they go in with their teeth to get them. And she actually got that one. We were thrilled. Another family of 3 little cubs, and mom's there in the water. Oh. And then the big cats. The big cats of Africa are just amazing. A cheetah with her 4 cubs. If one of those cubs made it to adulthood, that would be pretty good. They have a very high mortality rate. These lions were on a hunt, and they just walked right by this wildebeest. The photograph makes him look pretty close. He really wasn't that close. So, cheetah. Notice the belly. We just ate a very large antelope. These are actually all males. They're under 2 years old. You can see the start of a mane there. Great green eyes of a leopard in the grass. So that's just a few of the things that I've been up to. Some of the images. I have a website. Take a look when you get a chance. And I thank you for your time and your interest.
question. How's that? It's right here, okay.
It seems like you're kind of close